I mean, I think so. One thing I was trying to say in the beginning, and I'm not sure how clearly I said it, is just that what I've become more interested in recently, in kind of many ways, is teacher well-being, because teachers are like the second most important caregivers in the lives of these children after their parents. And then also this idea that, we should be part. This is my most recent revelation, just in like the last 2 years, that like, if I want to build this bridge, like we're all partners, like we're all in this together, like you're handing off your babies to us and we're like helping grow them at the next stage. And I've always just thought about early childhood and there's this gap in between, but actually those children, if they grow up, are going to be the same kids that I interact with as first generation scholars at Georgetown. So I've become very interested in like teacher well-being from those perspectives, but I think that in terms of like specific interactions with teachers, so that's kind of like my million miles above the ground perspective on, how teachers link to my own research and kind of like interests, and how we're all kind of in this together at different stages. Like we're all seeing the same kids at different points in time, I guess is the point. But also, so we have done some very specific surveys of teachers. Again, they are elementary school teachers. So we've interviewed the teachers who teach the kids in our sample every year since we started with our research. And that was in 2016 when the kids were 3. So we caught the preschool teachers and we followed the kids into their second year of preschool and then into kindergarten, first grade, and now they're in second grade. And so we've done a lot of research on the teachers themselves at this point, as on the assumption that teachers are kind of like the engines of student learning. Like they are the ones, to the extent that anything good happens to these kids in school, like second to the parents, these are the key drivers of that experience. And in many cases, I don't mean second ranked, I just mean alongside parents. So we've done a lot of work on teachers, and what we've asked teachers a lot of the same questions we ask parents. We ask teachers about, do you have a second job? What's your work schedule? We ask teachers about their own food insecurity. We ask teachers about their ability to afford like basic medical care. We ask teachers about benefits they receive, like, income tested benefits, so food stamps and welfare, Medicaid, things like that, housing assistance. We ask them about their stress. We give them a depression inventory, a stress inventory, and I'm trying to think about other like household kind of things, like the same things we've been asking parents to understand children's home environments. And what we've learned is that, and this is kind of where I started, like teachers and many of these teachers are parents. And because the teaching salary is not a living wage in many cases, these teachers are low income parents. So many of them experience food insecurity, like 25 or 26%. So these are full-time lead teachers in a large urban public school district. We sampled all the teachers at grade level. So we have 156. Tulsa Public Schools is a very big district. So we have like 156 second grade teachers. That's all the second grade teachers in the district, because they all serve low income kids. Like we followed our kids into classrooms and that's where they go. Every single school is a Title I. Every elementary school is a Title I school. We learned a lot about the teachers, and I guess, what we learned in many cases, and so we do a lot of other kinds of research that's probably like beyond the scope of this conversation, but just really quickly, we do these really in-depth classroom observations. We have trained data collectors out there in Oklahoma who do classroom observations for hours and hours and hours of the classroom using these well-validated research tools that measure instructional quality in elementary school teachers. And what we looked at was, how does the teacher's own level of stress, like economic stress, food insecurity, mental stress, how do those things predict the teacher's instructional quality? And that's what the tool calls it, in the classroom. And they're not related. And what I think is fascinating about that is that the teachers are absorbing it. They are just taking it and not transmitting it to the kids. The teachers have incredibly high rates of stress. They have 25, their rates of food insecurity are higher than the national average for adults. So they're disproportionately experiencing food insecurity. They're disproportionately experiencing depression. They're disproportionately experiencing mental distress, and yet it does not tank their instructional quality in the classroom. And this is just mind-blowing to me, because what you see with parents, there's decades of developmental psychology literature suggesting, there's a whole model called the family stress model, where we see that low-income parents tend to be more irritable, more frustrated, less warm and sensitive, less responsive. Being stressed out affects parenting. negatively. But for these teachers in this sample in Tulsa, Oklahoma, experiencing these stressors did not meaningfully negatively impact their classroom instructional quality. And I mean, you guys, I don't want to make any assumptions about, I've talked to the teachers in our sample, obviously, you know, anonymously, I invite them to share kind of qualitative interpretation. And I told them, you know, what I'm seeing here is that you are really, really distressed, and yet you are not letting it invade your classroom behavior. And that's just mind blowing to me. Like, I'm a parent of young children, and when I'm stressed, my kids definitely feel it. And I cannot imagine absorbing that. But that seems to be what's going on. I have no other explanation for that empirical finding.